Hello and welcome to Informed Entrepreneur Magazine. My name is Mike Baumstark. I'm a small business owner myself, and today I'm interviewing Nelson Johnson with Eccountable. Welcome, Nelson.
Oh, thank you.
Good to see you.
Very nice.
Let's start out with asking this. Tell me what Eccountable is all about. What do you do?
So our business is an end-to-end e-marketing solution. It's intended to bring together the social networking with a website and a customer relationship management system and integrated with your accounting so that as you bring in new information about prospects and clients, it's carried from end to end, so you don't have to deal with the import and export of data between one system and another.
Interesting. Okay, so is there a CRM name that you use for that portion, or is this all a construct of your own?
No, we use a brand name. We use Microsoft Dynamics CRM.
Okay, all right.
We do actually have some generic, I call it open source products that we can also bring to bear on customer problems. But frankly, the Microsoft CRM solution is probably the best solution, and it's at a great price, very affordable
Yes.
for the small and large businesses alike.
It turns out that as we speak, my tech guy, his name's Chris McKay, he is setting me up with Dynamics CRM.
Oh, good. Okay.
I was with another software. I don't want to besmirch their name, but it was old, antiquated, and it's driving us nuts. And you are right. The Dynamics CRM appears to be very good price point, very effective, very up-to-date, seamless with Outlook and Microsoft Office, things like that. So I'm glad to hear you're doing that because I think that may be the best thing out there right now, frankly. So a business owner has 2 to 10 employees and comes to you, and what do you tell them you're going to do for them? In other words, what is it specific? You're going to set up a website. You're going to set up a seamless flow from website hits into their CRM. Just describe that scenario for me a little bit.
So the smaller company, the challenges are even more fundamental than setting up the entire infrastructure for them. The message that we have for them is that we want to set up a good foundation because as they grow their company, they're going to start having some growing pains and then discover that they need to add more functionality or capabilities. So we're not trying to sell them the whole thing at one time. We're going to sell them just the components they need. So what I'm finding more often than not is in the smaller companies, they need some really basic things. The email systems need to be set up and working properly. The integration between their cell phones and their iPads and their point of sale and their accounting systems are all typically running separate databases, and so they find themselves...
Guilty.
Okay, exactly. So we start with a very simple package for $345 to just get them on their cell phones and their desktops and their iPads, get them all onto the same cloud-based email platform so that they can keep track of their contacts, their appointments, their email, everything on a single cloud-based platform. It only costs a few dollars a month per person after we get them set up. And from there, then we start talking about where the other low-hanging fruit is, because just getting that dealt with just takes a lot of headaches and frustrations off of their desk that they can then start to think about other systems that we can implement.
So next you might bring in Dynamics CRM and say, here's how you can keep all your contacts.
I'm not even up to that yet.
Oh, you're not? Okay, so
I mean, for a small 2 to 10 person company, then we're into more of the marketing kinds of things. Okay. You have to think about the sales funnel.
Okay. Yes.
You need to keep that filled, and you need to keep leaks from getting out of that sales funnel.
Okay.
So first we want to look at how their sales funnel is doing. Are they getting the marketing that they need to do to keep that sales funnel full and working?
Okay.
If that isn't bringing in the quantity and the quality of the leads that they're getting, we may talk to them about email marketing programs, which we have built into our web-based product. We may talk about tracking of those to make sure that where they're doing their marketing is actually giving them a good ROI. Mm-hmm. So we'll attack that first, and then we start look at the width and quality of their funnel. If they have a lot of good leads coming in, then maybe it's more of a question of follow-up and management. That's where the CRM system will come into play for tracking all their follow-ups and making sure that they're qualified. And then we start talking about a sales process a little bit. A lot of the smaller companies don't think about what the sales process is.
But they should.
And they should.
Yeah.
So we start to address that as well, and we'll give them some consultation on what their sales process ought to be to make sure that they're not losing people along the way. And then better closing rates and all that. After we get a CRM solution in place, then we may talk about the integration to the accounting system. And we can do all these piecemeal. If they come to me and say, hey, we really want to get the accounting system involved into this right now because of our fulfillment side, I'm happy with that. We can take all these in parts. And we have all the integration pieces, so we can customize our integration pieces as needed to put into place anything they need.
Well, it sounds like you really know what you're doing. Let's go back and let's start out with where you came from originally.
Sure. So I started as a consultant in college back in the 80s when the IBM PC was a brand new machine, and I had done a little bit on mainframe work for some college professors. But suddenly, as the PC came out, I had a line of professors at my dorm room knocking on the door asking to write software. I had never planned on doing. I was actually a human communications major, so yeah, a big stretch there.
Yeah.
But then I started off tutoring a few accounting students and stuff like that. But as the professors started growing, and it was great. I was making some great money in the summertime, and at the end of the line of professors was the IRS saying, okay, now we want our money. So suddenly I discovered I was in business and filling out tax forms and sales licensing and all that kind of stuff. So I was sort of an accidental entrepreneur in a lot of ways.
I see.
And
what area of the country was this?
This was in Wyoming.
Okay.
University of Wyoming in Laramie.
Is that where you were born, Wyoming?
No. I was actually born in Maryland.
Okay.
And my dad was in the Army.
Oh, so you're at an Air Force facility of some sort?
It was the Fort Meade post up in Maryland, which is I think the only thing there now is the NSA. I don't know.
Yeah, that may be about right. NSA's in the news right now. That's
it's big
sure.
in the news right now for sure.
Yeah. So how'd you get to Wyoming? Just going to college?
Well, my dad, his family was from Wyoming. His mother was the first child born in Cody, Wyoming. So his mother went to the University of Wyoming. Both my parents went to the University of Wyoming, and because he kept his in-state status in Wyoming. It was very inexpensive and easy for me to go there. I didn't really have ties to anywhere else in the country per se. Although I really grew up in the Washington, D.C. area for the most part. My dad was attached to the Pentagon a lot of times and other areas here. And I do have some family. We did travel. We went to Germany for a few years. We went to other places. And so Wyoming just seemed like a great place to go, and I love skiing.
Yeah. Did you do any fly fishing out there?
Not fly fishing, but regular trout fishing. Sure, just get a regular old pole out and
some nice rivers out there, I assume.
Yeah, got a lot of rainbow trout. They're pretty prevalent out there.
Fantastic. All right, so you kind of got into the entrepreneurial world almost by accident. You were kind of led into it by the steps you described while you were in college. What happened next?
Well, so business was on again, off again, depending on the university and the budgets, and I had been doing a lot of other part-time jobs to keep some income flowing, but finally decided to move back here where my father had retired. He was living in this area because his mother was here. So I moved back to this area and opened up shop here as a consultant, and eventually decided that I needed to finish my degree. So I finished at George Mason University with my degree in MIS and Decision Sciences. And that's really run more by the business school. So I got all the background in accounting and economics and marketing and all the other stuff that you need for a business degree.
Okay.
But that gave me a really well-rounded view of the things that I needed to really successfully launch my own business. So in 1995, I got started marketing my own clients and growing my own business.
Okay.
So I had some really good clients in pharmaceuticals, in telecom, and banking. In between those, we grew our company to about 10 employees. But but I learned as I was growing my company, I wasn't enjoying it as much. I was doing as much as I liked doing the entrepreneurial side, I was getting away from some of the things that I was really loving, which was writing software. As clients were merging and changing and the market dynamics were changing in the early 2000s, I started letting the company shrink back down to the point where now I outsource everything.
Okay.
I found that my cost base was a lot easier to manage when a lot of the people that I was hiring are now available as a consultant.
Yeah.
I can contract with them, get a very affordable, reasonable rate from the people that I used to have as employees, and they're very happy because they can call in their hours. We have very good relationships with them, and so it's a very dynamic situation now.
That's kind of the formula for success these days is that model you're using. I have done similar things myself. How long have you been in business?
So, I started consulting since 1982.
Okay.
And then I formed my corporation in 1995.
Okay, so Eccountable has been around since 1995.
Yeah.
Now, can you share with us maybe a couple of aspects? You've been in business a while, and if you're doing well enough, you survived. I mean, these days, surviving is a big deal to be in business, but you've been around a long time. That's great. How about a couple of difficulties you experienced in having a successful business?
Oh, well, I think we've done our fair share of finding the places where you get tripped up. For example, knowing when to pick your fights. There are clients that would want to push their point of view, and as much as I know about the business and the way to do things right, I have clients come to me that say, hey, we want to build a particular system, start writing code tomorrow. Well, writing software is a lot like building a house. You need a good foundation. You need a diagram, a blueprint. And for that, customers aren't eager to pay you to design that blueprint. And that's your requirements and design documents. But that is a significant piece of work. It could be 50% of the entire programming task is to come up with those documents. And that takes time sitting with the client. So the challenge is educating them enough to learn what that process is so that they're not just going willy-nilly and hiring a developer to say, go write me some code. There's a lot of developers who are cheap guys who will write code, and you discover as you get halfway through the project that you don't have what you want. It's not going to give you everything you want.
Could be more expensive doing that way.
It will be. Guaranteed it will be more expensive.
There's plenty of people that would be happy to keep working on it, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, but knowing when to push that it was a learning challenge for us. Getting the right employees has been a challenge. There have been employees that didn't quite understand what the consulting model was, and so they would do some work, and then when they were done, would sit at their desk and surf the internet waiting for me to come and tell them what to do.
Yeah.
And so, you try and train them, but some just don't quite get it. So learning when to fire a person, or ask them to pursue other opportunities is.
Yeah. I've been never good at letting people go. I normally pray that they will figure out that they shouldn't be here, and many times it has happened.
Yeah.
So I understand that. Okay. A couple of areas that you consider to be points of success. We figured this out, and this really worked in your business.
Well, that's a good question. It's never been an epiphany moment per se. It's a lot of times I have to do some research and work with clients to see if the message is right.
Put another way is, what are a couple of reasons you feel like you're being successful in business? Why is that?
I think my personality has a lot to do with it.
Okay.
That I'm able to, I think, communicate with the client in a way that makes sense. Sometimes I tend to slip into my technical mode. I'm very comfortable there, but I am capable of talking to people, I think, at their level and make them understand what the issues are to be able to get to the goal that they want to do. And some of it's education as well. But so I'm not sure. Did I answer your question?
Well, no. I quite often the success of people I interview is largely based on the personality of the owner. The owner can really make or break the organization by his personality. And a lot of times I find that if he really cares for the customer, if he really cares for the people working for him, it transmits to being successful as long as you don't have a flawed model in some way.
Yeah.
All right. Going forward, what are your plans for Eccountable?
So, coming from the consulting world, our challenge has been the billable hour. We frequently have to compete with other companies at a dollar per hour rate. That's the only tangible thing most clients can really look at and compare or try to compare apples to apples. And when they look at a dollar rate on one guy and ourselves, it's not a place where we want to be. We would rather be providing a good solution that they can get their hands around and understand rather than just charging a billable hourly rate. Mm-hmm. Well, after having built many enterprise-grade software as a service applications, or I should say CRM solutions for clients, we felt that we could do just as well with some off-the-shelf products, putting together solutions for medium to small-sized companies that we could turn around and sell as a software as a service, or SaaS solution. Yeah, it's a mouthful, a lot of letters. But it means that a small entrepreneur, for a very reasonable low dollar a month fee, can get an enterprise-grade solution without having to buy all the hardware, the servers, and all the support of hiring a network person to manage all that within their organization. Today, with the cloud technologies, which we're moving everything into, it makes it very affordable. We can provide a very high quality level of service running on an Amazon cloud server that you can't really get by buying it all yourself.
Well, very good. I think I understand a lot of what you're saying, but I definitely don't speak the tech language. I mean, for years I've told people that I like to use computers and software like playing a stereo, and as long as it's playing the music for me, I'm very happy. And when not, I want someone to make the music come back.
Right.
That's what I'm interested in. Okay, so any closing tip for the audience who are mostly business owners, but there will also be potential clients that are listening to these interviews. Any last tip about being in business, your philosophy about being in business?
Well, in my earlier days, I was always trying to work with the other people that I know to do more relationship building. Mm-hmm. And I found that the more that we did the networking, the more growth, sales growth we had. So getting a good relationship with other people to help build your business was just absolutely essential. Without that relationship, it was nearly impossible to overcome it with just advertising and just trying to sell yourself out there.
Yes.
So that's a key. And I spend now probably a couple hours every morning just doing nothing but thinking about the relationships I have with other people. How can I make a referral for them? How can I make them successful? And I do the same thing for my employees. Because as an entrepreneur, my employees, the people that are working for me, my vendors, I guess I should say, mm-hmm. I do the same thing for them because someday they're going to go out and find another place where they need to bring me in, and they need to see me as a valuable asset. They know I'm going to cover them as well.
Yes.
That I'm not just out for myself. So it's my goal as an entrepreneur to build value for, my employees, my customers, my vendors, and my stockholders, of course. So me.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Well, Nelson, I've really enjoyed this interview. I've learned a lot. I have some ideas about how I might be able to refer you myself to certain people. I might actually call you late one night and say I'm referring myself to you. Who knows? But I've enjoyed the interview, Nelson, very much.
Great. Thank you very much for having me today.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on Informed Entrepreneur Magazine. And there'll be details about Nelson and his company in the credits. Join us next time for our next interview. Thank you.